Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Jordan Leandry, and welcome back to the Mass Holes with Mike's podcast. We are here to talk about Trevor Story. Was going to use a pun. Jeremy just yelled at me not to do that. I've done it way too much on Twitter. Red Sox fans have done it way too much on Twitter. It's okay. We're all just happy. It's nice. But anyway, thank you for joining me, Jeremy, to talk some Red Sox. I know it's been a hectic day for both of us.
Yeah, definitely been a busy day, but I mean, honestly, my Sunday was made as soon as I woke up, and then maybe like an hour or so later, this story broke, literally. So we can get into it. And
How can you get mad at me? How can you get mad at me?
Because mine was unintentional. I didn't realize I was doing it until after I did. I went, oh, crap. I apologize. I used my one pun. I'm out two now.
It's almost like my body developed an internal alarm clock, because I remember I was like 3 hours behind the Hunter Henry signing for the Patriots last year. Everyone's freaking out in the group chat, and then here I am in La La Land out here in Arizona, and I wake up and everyone's already reacted to it. And I'm like, oh my God, Hunter Henry.
Exactly.
But I woke up like 3 minutes before the Trevor Story news broke, and there was some. Well, for starters, I want to say that there was this one local reporter. I shouldn't say local because he's from Florida, but he's a Red Sox fan. That he does a YouTube channel and everything. That said this 2 days before, and like I went to bat for this kid, and I was so worried that he was going to end up signing somewhere else. But yeah, Trevor Story, 6 years, $140 million to the Red Sox. He's going to play second base at least for this season. There's a 7th-year option / a 4th-year opt-out, or 4th-year opt-out / 7th-year option. I think it's a hilarious contract. It's kind of funny because you just think of it as like, you know how when you get grounded and your parents, tell you your punishment and you talk back about the punishment and they're like, do you want to make it, 3 weeks? Like Trevor's Story after 4 years is just like, all right, peace out. And Chaim Bloom's like, actually, you're here for a 7th year. So
whoops, guess what? We got you for another year. Suck it.
Yeah, not only are you not out after 4, but you're not after 5, 6, and then you're out after 7. But I think it's a really nice signing. I'll let you kind of go off on your take first, and then I'll save mine for later.
I mean, my big one is thank God. Like, we have been talking ad nauseum in the group chat on our last Red Sox episode that we did about how Chaim Bloom needed to spend. He had the money to spend. He had the tools to spend because he wasn't dealing with what we think is a cheap owner. Like John Henry over the years has ponied up money to bring free agents to Boston, and we thought that he would still be able to give money towards a signing this year. And Chaim Bloom finally did it. He pulled the trigger, and he got Trevor Story. One of the top free agents on the market. Not necessarily the top. He didn't get Carlos Correa, but that's a hell of a consolation prize to be able to get Trevor Story. I mean, if he's going to be your shortstop for the next 5 years after this year, so be it. Like, that's amazing. I'm thrilled. That being said, there are a couple of things I don't necessarily like about it, specifically the fact that he is playing second base. I know we're going to get to it later, but just on the surface, the Red Sox spent big, as the Red Sox should, and they got a big free agent. And I commend them for that. That's absolutely what they should be doing because they're the freaking Boston Red Sox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think if I had to grade the offseason before the Story signing, it would probably be low C, because I mean they definitely, like, getting depth in the rotation and the bullpen is huge. Like, I don't want to undersell that, but at the end of the day, their infield defense was the worst in Major League Baseball last year. To roll back out this season with the same infield with Devers, Bogaerts, Arroyo, and Dahlbeck. That is a huge slap in the face to a team that's defense cost them a lot. I mean, I know they technically improved their defense by not having to ever throw Schwarber at first again, but then your lineup takes a hit because he's one of the best hitters in your lineup. But I think improving that defense, even though Trevor Story, in my opinion, is wasted at second base, he is
Agreed.
a bona fide Gold Glove shortstop, and I know he's never won one, but he's in the conversation at least. Like, it's not like he's not won one because he's never been of that status. He's a great defensive shortstop. I just think he's wasted at second base. I like the contract. I think the terms of it are fine. It sets them up at a position where they can still spend next offseason, because it's only $20 million each of the first 2 years.
And you got those big names. Yeah, you got those big names coming off the books, as I think you said last episode, in Martinez and Price specifically, and then Bogaerts if he opts out, which all signs indicate that he is. I mean, like you said, the term 7 years. I mean, personally, when it comes to some of these mega deals that baseball players sign, I think 12 years for anybody is a little bit too long. That's just my personal bias. I mean,
It's a big gamble.
You're asking a lot. A decade plus of a certain guy to maintain a certain level of production for a large amount of money. That's a lot to ask of them. So I like the fact that Chaim got Story for 6 to 7 years, depending on if he uses that opt out or not. And again, as you said, the annual value. I mean, that was shocking to me. I expected Story to get between 28 and 32. I don't know if that was reasonable to expect that. That was kind of in my head. That was kind of the ballpark I thought that he was going to achieve. To get him for 20 in the first couple of years, as you said, and 23 on average. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I reported when we did our wish list back in, I think it was November, early December. I don't remember
Something like that, yeah.
specifically, but we did our wish list, and we both, Sean and I, talked about Trevor Story being on our wish list, or I think Sean at least had him on his wish list. I don't know if I did. Remembering back, but I mentioned how there was somebody went on MLB Network Radio and mentioned how Trevor Story's market value is like 18 million over the next 3 years. I said that when we recorded. I don't think I ever truly believed it inside, so thankfully, I was right to not believe that. Yeah, he's definitely a north of $20 million a year player. He just really shot himself in the foot with a really bad first few months in 2021. I think the Rockies trading Nolan Arenado was a big slap in the face. Then also having to deal with the possibility of him being traded at any point throughout the first 4 months of the season. And then they get past the deadline. For some reason, Colorado didn't trade him. I guess because they actually really wanted to keep him, because they apparently offered him more money than Boston did. And he still came to Boston. But after
what does it say about the Rockies? Like, good
seriously.
God.
I mean, they got Chris Bryant.
I was gonna say, and then they gave a wheelbarrow full of money to Chris Bryant for no reason at all.
Yeah,
it's just, I mean, the Rockies continue to just be so bad.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, Trevor Story comes here. 23 million, I think, is the average annual value. I like I said, I really like the signing. I lost my train of thought for a second, but yeah.
No, we can transition.
No, sorry, I forgot.
There we go.
After
we found it.
After the deadline, he really took off. He was not quite the Trevor Story of 2018 to 2019. I know he had a shoulder issue for a bit that was lingering for a little bit towards the end of the season, but finished the season I think around a 120-ish WRC plus after the deadline. So I mean, it's right about where he's been the last few years. And then obviously the defense was still there. It's a great signing. I love it. Wish Bogaerts was moving to second base. But I mean, I understand it. I know we're going to get into, what this means for Bogaerts and Devers, but
we can do it right now, honestly.
Might as well just get into it now. So I'll start with this. I really wanted Bogaerts to just, be the, I don't know.
Be the captain.
Be the captain. Everyone wants to call him the captain of the team, but
Agreed.
But at the end of the day, captains are supposed to make sacrifices if it means the betterment of the roster. Like, he's just too much like Jeter.
Seriously.
Ultimately,
it's such a great comparison for him. It's kind of sad.
It's just where I look at Bogaerts is I think his glove is like when he gets to the ball, he doesn't make a lot of errors. I know I think I undersell the importance of not making errors, because obviously errors, they're bad. But there's a lot of plays that guys make that Bogaerts doesn't. It's just like, I think he's a below average shortstop. His range is terrible. I think his arm is very accurate.
He has glacial range. I mean, moving left or right, I think I might be able to do better. And for people watching on YouTube, you can see me right now. I think I may have better range at times. Exactly. I mean, you're talking to maybe the two unathletic dudes that have appeared on this show most often. Like, it's shocking to me as somebody who loves Xander. I mean, he's the one Red Sox jersey I have right now hanging up right around there, somewhere around there for me. But it's really sad because I'm with you. I was totally expecting him to move over to second base, especially when you get somebody the caliber of Story coming in. And by all accounts, he did recruit him. He did have a massive impact on saying, like, hey, you got to come here. Like, we want you. Part of me had really hoped that you could split up the defensive tandem on the left side of the infield of Bogaerts and Devers, move Bogaerts over to second base, and then give him a nice fat contract for his trouble of moving. But clearly that's just not the case.
Yeah, I was willing. I mean, obviously, I say I was willing, like I have any say in what the Red Sox do. But I would have been willing to give Xander Bogaerts a shortstop style contract to play second base. Like
Same.
ultimately,
Totally.
like you said, for his troubles, and he's played on a bargain the last 4 years. He's played $20 million a year. He's better than that. He's at least like a $27 to $29 million a year kind of player just for his offense alone. I looked at his metrics from on the second base side of the bag. He is a +3 in outs above average over the course of the duration of that statistic for the infield. It goes back to 2016. On the shortstop side of second base, it's like negative 17 or 18. It is not good. Like he is a second base. He should be playing second base.
He should. Absolutely.
His range is bad. It's go ahead.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, in my opinion, is that if this was such a deal breaker that Bogaerts may have been like, you know what, screw it, I'm done. Like I don't want to deal with this if I have to go move to second base. I mean, you are trading a lot if you're giving up what he does in the regular season, which is 25 to even 30 home runs. I think was his peak, right? Something like that. I think
he's hit 30. I think he hit 30 in 2018 and 19. He went 30 and 100.
So there you go. Yeah, and I think that he's good for 100 RBIs, 110 RBIs. And 160 to 170 hits a year, and he's the anchor of your lineup. He is the guy that's sitting in the 3-hole most often behind Devers, protecting him, and then you got JD following up. But I think at this point, you know what, deal with it for a year, address it when it comes up in the offseason, because by all accounts he is going to opt out. We know he's a Scott Boras client, which does factor into it. It's why we were
said he's opting out.
It's why we were so surprised he signed the deal that he did when he did, to be honest with you. I thought that he was going to milk the Red Sox for every penny, because that's what Scott Boras is known for. That's his playbook. And he signed a team-friendly deal, and I was like, what? What was that? Are you kidding me? So he's definitely not going to go the team-friendly route this round. I mean, I want him back. I don't know about you. The question is, does he want to come back if he has to play second base, I guess, right?
Yeah, I want Xander back, but here, this is my take, and I think I quote tweeted, was it James Stewart from 98.5? I quote tweeted him, yeah, because he, I hate the business side of baseball, because if they sign Trevor Story, it must mean that Xander Bogaerts is out the door, and everyone's echoing this. I think it's stupid to do that at this point, but ultimately, what it comes down to is this. If Xander Bogaerts is unwilling to convert to second base, he is not deserving of a massive extension. He just isn't. Aging into his mid to late 30s, when his range is already bad, he's going to lose a step on the other side of 30. Everyone does. I mean, some people are just so proficient that that them losing a step is still very damn good. They're still sick. But Bogaerts already has bad range. It's going to get worse as he ages. If he's not willing to convert to second base, then I don't want him back on a massive extension. I'd give him maybe 3-4 years, maybe $110 million for 4 years, but I wouldn't give him a massive extension to play shortstop. He's not a shortstop.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is he 29 or 30 right now? 29?
I think he turns 30 in, I want to say, August.
Okay.
September.
So that's exactly what I thought he was. Somewhere in between 29 and 30. I think in a perfect world, 6 for 180 is, because you know what? Guess what? That is a shortstop type of contract. He's done right by the organization. He's one of those guys that you would like to have as a career Red Sox. But I think that if you're going to go and give him that money, it has to be with the understanding that he's going over to second base. Or maybe, even if you want to extend it, let's say that the experiment this year with Story at second isn't terrible. It's serviceable. You can deal with it another season with Devers. And then when JD leaves, inevitably, you maybe move Devers over to DH. You keep Bogaerts at short for maybe 2 of those 6 years. And then the last 4, when Story is still there, that's when you go and you make him the primary shortstop. You move Bogaerts over to second, or you can make him DH. Devers can go to third. There are a lot of moving pieces, but the point being, you can never have too many good players. And Bogaerts is absolutely one of them. I mean, people are like, okay, you got a logjam because you got Dahlbeck already up here. Cassis is coming up. You got, I guess Mayer technically is on the fringe of being in that kind of core group on the infield. And in my opinion, you can make it work. Nick York as well, great point. You can make it work. You can never have too many good players. And Bogaerts has been here his entire career. You know that he does love the city. You should do whatever you can to get him back. I just can't see him playing shortstop at 36 for the Red Sox. like
I
that
can't
type
either.
of age. It's just it's not feasible. It just isn't.
Barely
for
can
both
see him
sides.
doing it at 29. But I don't want to I don't want to sell him short. He's looked great this spring defensively. I will give him that. And he was great in the second half of last season. I just don't think he can sustain that for 162. Last year he was great in the second half defensively, but his offense took a massive hit. So it's like, I'd rather have the Bogaerts that hits, with a 130 to 140 WRC plus and not good defense versus Bogaerts that's, a +5 defensive run saved shortstop, which he was in the second half to his credit, with like a 110. I don't think Xander Bogaerts at that level, at that offensive production, is worth $30 million. I want the guy who can hit. Like I would be willing
And
to go.
he's not a proven postseason performer as well. We got to
No,
add
he
that
isn't.
on there.
No, he isn't.
He hasn't shown up in the playoffs.
Yes, he has. If the people I've been arguing with on Twitter are watching / listening, Xander Bogaerts has 2 World Series rings. He has been, outside of this past season where he completely disappeared in the ALCS after that home run off Greinke, by the way. I mean, everyone did, so I don't want to single him out.
True.
He's not been a good hitter in the postseason.
He's been a passenger, is what he's been.
Yes, he has been. He's had his moments. I don't want to say he's not been productive at all. Like his walk in the 2013 ALCS, biggest at bat probably outside of the Grand Slams.
He hit the home run off of Garrett Cole in the first inning of this last wild card
He hit the home
game.
run off Garrett Cole. He hit a home run against Shane Baz in the ALDS. I don't want to say he's not had his moments, but he in the postseason overall, his whole body of work is not impressive. He has 2 rings, but it's been, even to an extent, like Mookie was the same way. He was great in the regular season.
Other
in the
guys step
postseason,
up.
he didn't do very well.
Totally agree.
Which is, you win World Series like that. Your stars aren't going to carry you all the way through to the finish line. You need those, like the Steve Pearces of the world, the Kike Hernandezes of the world to push you through the finish line. And that happened in 2018. Didn't happen last year. But anyway, if Bogaerts is, stubborn and doesn't want to move off of shortstop, I'd bump his pay a little bit, more to convince him. But I'm not going. I don't think a second baseman's worth $30 million. They're too replaceable.
I don't think Story at second base is worth $23 million. I just think second basemen are a dime a dozen. So you don't want to be
Marcus
paying.
Semien. Marcus Semien just had one of the best seasons for a second baseman in MLB history offensively. He hit 40-something home runs. Like he was unbelievable. In my opinion, given the fact when you're talking about well-rounded players. Like Vlad, obviously the best player on the Blue Jays, but in terms of completeness, Marcus Semien was the best player on Toronto last year. And he only got 7 for 175. I'd give Bogaerts 7 for, 200. It's like 27.
Yeah, I said 6 for
AAV.
180, which is 30 even. Like I would go up to that. I think that would be the upper limit. But he's not the guy that I'm giving a contract to first. Haha, segue.
I was just gonna do the same thing.
Yes, we're on the same page. I love it.
Yeah,
all right, sorry.
Yeah, no, Devers is definitely the guy that you need to give an extension to first. I believe that in my heart of hearts. I will let you take the reins on that. But I really think Devers is the guy you got to make sure you lock down.
I don't have too much to add. I think this would be a relatively quick topic by our standards, but I think it's obvious. The fact that he says the Red Sox haven't offered him a contract extension yet is stupid. What are you doing? Give him a contract extension. At least make an offer. Second of all, I agree. Devers is younger. He's a lefty power bat, and let's face it, in a right-handed dominant league in terms of pitching, you need the lefty power bat. It's a given. That's why Ortiz was so successful here year after year after year. I really want to lock down Devers over Bogaerts, especially now that you have the right-handed bat and Story, you could argue. So if you want to build that left-right tandem of the future, you have those two. I'm just trying to imagine a nice, Devers. Let's say you keep Bogaerts. Devers, Bogaerts, Story, Cassis, 4 in the lineup.
That'd be
it's
insane.
so gross.
Because on top of it, with that lineup, I'm imagining JD Martinez's time in Boston's done unless he takes a significant pay cut, which in my opinion, given the fact that
he doesn't deserve.
He really can't play the outfield. I know he played at the outfield very well last year, but he can't play the outfield and hit. Last year he was horrible offensively when he played left field or right field. Whenever he played the outfield, he sucked offensively. And he's not as good as he used to be. He's still a very good hitter. He's still probably top third, top 15 to 20% of the league in terms of offense. I still love JD. Would love to keep him. But if Dahlbeck can take that leap and be closer to the guy he was in the second half, I'm not saying he's got to, hit 47 home runs after the All-Star break, but if he can be, a very serviceable hitter, talking like 850 to 900 OPS kind of guy, I would not hate letting JD walk and just putting Dahlbeck at DH unless Devers can't play third base, which again, want to add, he's looked really good this spring as well defensively. Again, I don't know if he can sustain it, but he's looked awesome. So either you can put Dahlbeck back at third when Cassis comes up, or you can put Devers leave Devers at third and put Dahlbeck at DH, and it's very cost effective. It really is. But back to Devers, you gotta keep him. Like I'm not blank checking him because defensively he's still a bit of a question mark, even if he has a good year this year. Like it's more of he can do it, but will he do it? You gotta keep him. You have to. I think I tweeted this out. I don't remember what the terms were, but I think I said I'd give him 12 for $200 to $300 million, or $280 to $300 million. I would do that right now. I don't know if he would.
So at the very upper end, you're talking $25 million a year for the next decade plus.
Basically,
now, I am always leery of that 10 to 12 year deal.
But he's 25.
Devers, I was gonna say Devers, because of his age, might be the one to do that.
Yeah.
Knowing that you may have to knock off the last 2 years and be like, okay, he's not going to be what he was during those last 2 years. But the other 10, that's his prime right there. Like that, you're getting all of it. And
you get him from 25 to 35.
Yeah.
And mind you, it's a pretty solid contract in my opinion because you're buying out the last year of his arbitration as well, which I figure will probably be somewhere in the ballpark of 18 to 20 million. So really, it goes down to about 11 for 260 to 280. Or something in that realm. I think he's worthy of a massive contract. I also floated the idea out on Twitter. Again, I know nothing, nor am I in charge of anything. But I wonder if Devers would be willing to take a Charlie McAvoy-esque bridge extension where he signs for 3 years, $80 million to buy out the last year of his arbitration, and then the next 2 years he's making, $25 million or whatever. So it'd be 3 for 70, I guess, would be the number. So that way the Red Sox can see how he is defensively. Because if he's not playing the field, his value does go down. It does. Just by virtue of not impacting the game at enough levels. So the little bridge extension and then renegotiate when he's 27 years old. And that's when you can sign him to his 10-year contract. I wonder if he'd be open to it. I don't know if he is. But you look at the numbers of all these guys that are signing now, especially the Matt Olson deal. I know he's a first baseman, but I think he's a better player than Devers. He did not get a very hefty contract from Atlanta.
That's the Braves. I'm not going to put too much into that. Yeah. I don't know what in the world Alex Anthopoulos is drugging his players with, but man, those deals are insane.
Anthopoulos Island is real. hold the family hostage until they sign a team friendly deal just to give $16 million to Kenley Jansen after. But yeah, Devers is the guy to lock up first. If I only could pick one, and the Red Sox don't have to do that. They're the Red Sox. They can sign Bogaerts and extend Devers if they want to. I'm picking Devers. I'm picking Devers if I have to pick one.
Agreed.
Too important to the Red Sox.
Yep.
Yeah. You have anything else to add?
No, honestly, I love that this was concise. We love that you guys have been really loving us on YouTube, though. I will say. Very
the baseball
popular.
Videos. Baseball videos are much more popular than the football ones.
We will try to keep churning them out. Long. Yeah, I agree. Hey, keep it nice and digestible. Right now we're at maybe 25 minutes. That's right where we want to be. Love
that. Yeah, somewhere in that range, and we'll try to get more people on, so it's not just so you guys aren't getting exhausted with our voices.
Yeah, exactly.
Our voices and our opinions, and me wearing Royals hats during a Red Sox podcast.
Don't worry, I got light blue on anyway, so it's not that big a deal.
We're Royals stands in this chat. Just kidding. I hate the Royals just because of Salvi banter. I'm sick of it. Anyway, before I get myself in trouble. So that'll do it for this edition of Mass Holes with Mics. You can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and 63 other platforms for when the podcast goes up. I don't know all of them, I'll admit. Apple Podcast is one of them.
Yep. Spreaker. And then Instagram. We got Spreaker.
Yeah,
got Twitter
I'll share it on Twitter and everything.
You'll see it everywhere.
You'll see it somewhere. You might blog you because you've seen it so much.
Exactly.
Anyway,
we got clips too.
Thanks again to Jeremy for joining me. I'm Jordan Leandri. This has been Massholes with Mikes. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.
Peace.